If you look at the original, it's the fashion in it is iconic. The clothes that he wears, the sort of cravat and those 70s cuts. So to try and get into that world of kind of European fashion and tailoring. So
it's so good.
Yeah.
You should be at the Met Gala as we speak.
Well, as the Jackal, I feel like that would be quite a good place for the Jackal to have a go. Although I feel like didn't they do that Ocean's movie?
That's right. Ocean's 8. Yeah. Welcome to the actor's side. He has won an Oscar, a Golden Globe, a Tony, a BAFTA, 2 Oliviers, and God knows what else. But a lot of awards, Eddie. And currently in The Day of the Jackal, playing the Jackal, a series on Peacock, which is edge of your seat stuff. And I've seen the movie, the Fred Zinman movie, but this series is something. Welcome to the actor's side.
Thanks for having me, Pete. Thank you.
Congratulations on Day of the Jackal. Well,
Thank you
that's
so
quite
much.
the thing to pull off on a on a series of 10 episodes and that sort of thing.
Well, I think the 10 episode-ness of it was sort of part of the appeal, really, because similar to you, I was a massive admirer of the Zinman movie.
Edward
Fox. I was brought up on it, really. It was one of the,
wow.
it was 2 or 3 VHSs that were we were watching as kids. And so when the scripts arrived, the first 3 scripts arrived in my inbox, there was great trepidation because I'd been such an admirer of the original. But something about what they had done with it, sort of moving it to now, it having this sort of contemporary feel, but retaining some of the sort of analog, refinement of the original it was a thrilling prospect.
Yeah, because it's definitely not the movie and it's not the book. I mean, it is its own thing. Definitely inspired by and, with a lot of that kind of DNA, but nevertheless, this is a complete original.
It was made by a troupe of people who had great love for the book and great love for the film. So there are sort of moments within the piece that are Easter eggs, specific quotes from the book, or there's actually the iconic watermelon scene in the original movie. We sort of recreate shot by shot, sort of doffing our cap to Edward's brilliance. But what was kind of intriguing for me is that in the movie, the Jackal is this complete enigma. He's like formidably charismatic and cold, but you don't get to learn anything about him. And here, over 10 hours, you sort of have to find out a little bit in order to sustain you. So getting to flesh him out was pretty fun.
Yeah, and we do. But I'll tell you, just right from the first episode, the opening of the first episode, almost dialogue-free. We're watching you go through that, which reminded me of the movie, just... That it's very sparse on dialogue in that way. But as we go along, he is getting more humanity.
The silence at the beginning sort of is everything. And the love of craft was kind of one of the great appeals to me. That spycraft, that kind. I always describe it as sort of being analog rather than digital. It was all about him using his hands and making things, whether it's the prosthetics or the how the guns fit together. There was a real economy to him, and you get to learn quite a lot about him through the way he moves through space, rather than necessarily. He's not massively loquacious. The guy is pretty silent, but gradually, you unpeel these layers, and he's a complete control freak, and yet he's thrown into circumstances in which he's put off balance, and that reveals qualities to him. And getting to do that over 10 episodes was pretty fun.
He's kind of like an actor in a lot of ways. I mean, I love the scene where you're putting on your own prosthetic.
I think again that was one of the qualities that I loved about it. Was you're absolutely right. Like he is an actor. He's also a pretty formidable prosthetics artist.
I'll say.
But we tried to and a mimic and but all of those things, which are the stuff I love about my job, we tried to really weave into the piece. So you see him practicing his accent, working on his voice. You see him prepping the prosthetics. That there would be these moments as I was working with Richard, our prosthetics artist, to come up with these looks with Richard and Mel, the designer. And Richard sort of went around my face with a 3D scan and then created this sort of bust of me from which he was going to mold. And when I saw that, I would take photos of that, send that to Brian, our director, and all the tools that he used, so that we could incorporate them into the set design and
So cool.
And what we really wanted to see behind the curtain. So quite often in this genre, you have a moment of someone removing their mask. But we really wanted to show the layers of the prosthetics and the hair being pulled back and because I enjoy those things. I hoped an audience would.
It's great. A little bit of Martin Landau and Mission Impossible.
Yeah, a bit of that. Bit of everything.
I love that. And also, he's a fashion icon, this guy.
Yeah.
Which you are. Too.
Well, I don't know about that, Pete, but in the original,
GQ and all of them have named you one of the best dressed people in the world, or a world of show business, and you constantly landed on those lists. So you've carried it on to this character.
The thing, that was all Edward's doing, really. Like, I mean, Edward Fox. If you look at the original, it's the fashion in it is iconic. The clothes that he wears, the sort of cravat and those 70s cuts. So Natalie Humphreys, who is just wonderful, who's our costume designer, as we were prepping, I had about 4 or 5 months to prep it, and we went for a costume fitting at this place, which I'm going to completely mispronounce, which is called Knitze, I think. It's in Vienna, and it's this old costume or tailors from the 19th century, this amazing loose designed building, and they used to make clothes for like Prince Charles the Prince of Wales in 1880s, and you've got all these books with all his different sizes. They dressed James Dean, Marilyn Monroe, and they've got all of these. And so we went there, and it's very, it's a beautiful building. But to try and get into that world of kind of European fashion and tailoring, so
it's so good.
Yeah, it's fun.
I mean, you should be at the Met Gala as we speak. Well,
as the Jackal, I feel like that would be quite a good place for the Jackal to have a go. Although I feel like didn't they do that Ocean's movie?
That's right. Ocean's 8. Yeah. Playing this role though over and over, the appeal of that, in a series, because you're a movie star and you do movies and go out and then you're done. Here you're returning for a second season. I understand.
Yeah. I mean, I love television, and I love like those actors that I get completely starstruck by are the people that have been in my living room for months on end. I mean, the cast of The West Wing, I always say, are like the people that I can't be in the same room with, because because these people get under your skin. And this particular character just sang to me. I signed on after reading 3 episodes. I helped, produce the.
You're producing
the piece,
too,
which was riveting in its own way, and it's also a genre that I love, and I've never had the opportunity to kind of play in. but also, as you say, the character's an actor, so you get it's like an actor's playground. Honestly,
Right.
you get to do accents, you get to do languages, you get to do prosthetics, you get to do physical stuff.
It's amazing. Did you know German?
I don't speak a word of German.
So you did it phonetically?
So you did it phonetically with this brilliant woman called Simone, but was such an interesting exercise because. I would say to her, look, if I was saying this in English, this is the kind of intonation that or this is the attitude I would want to bring.
Yeah.
Because I don't speak a word of German, she would then translate that musically as well as phonetically.
Wow.
And so I was wandering around London with these, voice notes, trying, and occasionally getting the sort of balls to try saying it to my German friends and see what they thought. But it was also weird because I sort of learnt the German. But then the caretaker that you meet, who is the German character in the beginning, is sort of 75 years old and a chain smoker.
Right.
And so suddenly it was kind of, when I had all the prosthetics on, my kind of German, keine sagt, like all this stuff up here, which looked ridiculous until you put the prosthetic on, and it kind of worked.
Came in handy playing the MC in Cabaret, right?
Yeah, I've had a bit of a German couple of years.
I was telling you before we started, I saw that in New York. God, I mean, it really was a transformative thing for you. I've seen that done by many actors, and they're all, great. But you really had your own take on it, and it was riveting to watch. Really was, especially the way it was done at the Kit Kat Club in the round, essentially. Yeah. I kind of felt sorry for that audience sitting way up, just watching. Down below, because it's like watching people at a nightclub.
Well, but there's something like part of the design on that. The original production of Cabaret in in New York had, with Joel Grey, had a mirror was the set, and the audience could see themselves.
Oh, that's cool.
And the idea of complicity, the reason that Tom Scott, our designer, and Rebecca Frecknell wanted the piece to be in the round was so that you can see other people through the action.
Yeah.
And that as the thing starts in this bacchanalian kind of fever dream and gradually descends, that you're watching other people react to that, and you're feeling the discomfort and the uncanny of being part of it. But it was an amazing experience. I mean, doing a musical on Broadway, and I'm because I helped produce that as well, and it's something that going to go and see when you go back, and nothing makes me happier than when you go and see. I went and saw Adam Lambert, who was brilliant, and now I haven't been to see the newest cast of Orville Peck, but I hear it. What Rebecca, our director, did was create a show, and Billy Porter's doing it in London. And I'm seeing in a couple of days.
Oh wow!
but what it allows is individuality.
Yeah.
And each actor that plays these parts, whether it's Sally Bowles, and I've seen so many brilliant actors play that role, or the MC, they kind of bring their own. It's meant to be a celebration of individuality, I suppose, at a time in which that was being quashed.
And it's still it's even more relevant now. I mean, some of those, B.B. Newworth singing, and the sun will rise, the sun will set.
Yeah.
So who cares? So what? Yeah. It's sort of an attitude that's more prevalent now
than ever. And that question of apathy or engagement, and but when you feel powerless, how do you
deal with it?
How do you deal with it? No, it's an extraordinary piece of work, and getting to meet John Kander as well. And and it was,
he's still around.
He's such an amazing man. It was a real thrill.
Yeah, the idea that the original composer, John Kander, who did it with Fred Ebb, is still around to come and give advice, sort of like Sondheim was on his shows until, just the end there.
I mean, he's just such a vibrant man, and both he and Joel came early on to see the show, and were just, Joel really created that part with Hal Prince and Kander and Ebb, and how that character developed through the film and through all these, it was pretty astonishing, and to be able to spend time with him was also wonderful.
Pretty amazing. I first met you the year of Lady.
How long ago was it?
I first met you on that wild tour of the Academy season there, which was so great, and big panels and fun stuff. And I do remember at the end of it, because I think that was your first go-round with the so-called Oscar season, you said, well, I guess I'll never see you again unless I do something good. Okay. Well, you did some pretty good stuff.
Thank you.
I mean, my God, The Theory of Everything brought you an Oscar, and then right away, The Danish Girl, another nomination, on and on and on, getting a big franchise with J.K. Rowling's Fantastic Beasts, and you just keep going, man.
Well, do you know what? It's such a weird ride being an actor, because I think I got into acting through theatre, and that was always my dream. I was lucky enough, my first job was playing viola with Mark Rylance in Twelfth Night, and getting to learn from him. And the weird thing when you keep going and you just try to retain employment, and over the years, as you gradually start to work, like I remember when I worked with Mark again on Trial of the Chicago 7.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's sort of wonderful moments when you reconnect with people that that you've long admired. It's like, I always describe it as you put one foot in front of the other and you keep going, and you wait for someone to find out. And I hope that it.
But my God, no! I mean, your theater background's incredible. But I mean, you played at Eton, age 17. You were doing stage work and everything. You sort of knew from the beginning.
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, since I was a kid, I had a passion for it. I was talking to my kids about it recently, because when I was about 9 or 10, I did this production of Oliver with Jonathan Pryce in the West End, and I was just like one of the hundreds of urchins. But I remember the feeling that I would get to stand up in the middle of math and be like, right, I'm off. I'm going to the London Palladium. As in just the feeling. And my kids were like, what? You got to leave the middle class? Like, yeah. It's like, this is what I'm trying desperately not to encourage them to be actors. But it was there at the London Palladium, and being behind the scenes there, that I really got the sort of the cliche of the smell of the grease paint and the love of it. Yeah,
I knew we had something in commmen. I did Oliver.
Did you?
In high school when I was a senior. Noah Claypool, the only one where you don't have to sing.
Okay, that's a very. There's a production of it in London.
Yeah, I still know all the lines. How's your workouts, mother?
How's your workouts, mother? Amazing.
Yeah,
there's a production on in London actually at the moment from Chichester, which was great. I went and saw that recently.
Yeah,
it was really good.
Oh, that's so cool. I was going to ask you about playing real people, because you have done so many. Stephen Hawking, obviously. Colin Clark, My Week with Marilyn, which was great. Love that movie. Lily Elba, The Danish Girl. Tom Hayden, Trial of Chicago 7. Charles Cullen, we talked about that in the past. The Good Nurse, chilling role. Even early on, Anthony Bakeland and Savage Grace. Wild. You played a lot. Of real people.
It's so strange, because I don't go looking for them. But I think it was interesting with, I don't know, you're endlessly trying to coin or find or refine some sort of process with filming, and I really do think that playing Stephen shifted something for me, because it gave me the power to ask for time, and to really work out what process should be, and the reason I did that is because you knew he was going to watch it, and because he was so iconic. There are some characters who people don't know so well or you work with a director who, when I did Trial of the Chicago 7, Aaron Sorkin was like, I don't want a facsimile of Tom Hayden. I want you to play the script. Like, I don't. This is not his exact voice. This is not his. But there are some characters, and particularly Stephen, that you then have to really dig into that and find. I found working a whole new sort of toolbox of ways of approaching a part. Working with a wonderful movement director. Alexandra Reynolds, who I still work with. I work with on Dare the Jackal. I work with on this film I just finished with Sam Esmail. and Julia Roberts. I love that part of the process now, and allowing myself, which I know is a great privilege, but the time to prep something. I'm not one of these actors who can learn your lines in the trailer, turn up. I have to have it like embedded in me. It takes me a long time to learn stuff, and I found that tricky with television. I was like, you can't. I need these in advance. I can't be handed it the night before because otherwise, what happens is even if they're just changing words, like the odd word here and there, if you have a bad memory like me, your entire focus playing the scene is remembering that word rather than being kind of present with it.
Oh, speaking of learning it the night before, I happen to be, I don't know how this happened, but I was out at a concert with Richard Schiff from West Wing and his wife, and Madeline somehow knew my wife, knew his wife, and said, we were going to a concert and they invited us, and he had his sides, where I got the name for this thing, the actor's side, he had his sides with him for the next day, and he was sort of looking, and while he was at this concert, and I go like, man, no, you got to learn these lines.
No, I know.
And it was a few pages.
Pages of it. And I look at some of those long running shows, which were very verbose. Like The West Wing, for example. And you go, oh my God. How did? And I talked to an actor, I can't remember who it was, about working with Aaron on a TV show. And you have sort of some of the younger actors or would come in day players and would have thought that you can think you learn something, right? And then you're being made to do a walk and talk. Things are being handed to you. There are cameras here, and it disappears. So for me, it has to be so embedded in me that you can throw anything at me. And
so the stage is a better creature for you in that you get to refine the character maybe nightly, find new things, but you're still.
Yeah, I mean, I do find the refine. Like I always describe it as being. Acting generally is the aspiration for perfection with the acknowledgement that you'll never get there. So in theatre you can go back each day, and that's the drug of it. Like that's what you and try and perfect it, and you never will. But maybe one night you have a millisecond of something that hits you and feels. And you can feel an audience lean in. It's quite an amazing feeling, and that is also the drug. That happens once every 5 years. You keep like pounding beverage, but then there's also something glorious about the capturing lightning in a bottle of filming. I have realized over the years, and one of the lovely things about producing is that you get much more access to things like production design. For me, if we turn up to do a scene together in this setting, if I've seen in advance what this might look like, I can come with more ideas than if we walk in and it's sort of. And so little things like that over the years I've tried to sort of get ahead of, because with filming you've only got that moment of invention, and I've got quite a slow brain. Some people can come and be instantly inspired by it. But I was talking to some other actors about it yesterday. There's nothing worse than that feeling of the drive home and the idea hitting you after the scene. Do you know what I mean? And then living with the prospect of it, and then having to wait 9 months to watch.
And can you watch your stuff?
Again, on Jackal, it was really riveting because I was watching a lot of. One of the curious things about this series was we didn't have a showrunner, so it's a different way of the British way of making things was different, and I hadn't done television for a long time, so trying to in the end, Brian Kirk was our brilliant director of the first two, but we had other fantastic directors across the blocks, but there was no one person in charge of the whole thing. And so for Lashana Lynch, she's
so good in this. And I don't know, do I give this away? Spoiler alert, turn the channel. What am I, on TV? Turn us off. But she's going to be gone.
I know. Don't. That's a massive spoiler.
That really surprised me. Yeah. Because that is not the way the book or the movie went.
No, it was, but she is extraordinary, and she is also a producer on it, and we really forged our friendship because we barely share the screen together. We were very rarely on set, and it was really through.
Right. I mean, it's like The Fugitive. You
Exactly.
know? She's hunting you.
She's hunting me down.
Yeah, but you did have one.
But I think that so we were watching loads of stuff, and because there was no showrunner, we sort of ended up being the continuity through the piece, and watching those assemblies, and it was an interesting exercise actually in not watching yourself wasn't really an option.
Right. It's interesting. Why do you think film stars now, I mean, you sort of alluded to it, have really turned to television and welcoming it? I had Michael Fassbender here. He's in The Agency.
Love The Agency.
And, I mean, it's a great role for him. He said it's a great role. Why wouldn't I want to do this? Richard Gere's in it with him. Same thing. He hadn't done television except one brief thing. And Gary Oldman every week on Slow Horses.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think it's that. It's the writing really. I've always only ever since I've been lucky enough to have some element of choice.
Yeah.
You can only go, or I've only ever been able to go on instinct, and that instinct is you read something, and normally, if you begin to feel a little nauseous, then you should probably do it. And and I wasn't looking to do anything particularly,
Right.
And these first 3 scripts arrived, and I just was like, I would be mad not to dive into this.
Yeah,
world.
especially since you grew up, you knew
loving
that,
it, exactly.
Loving it.
Yeah.
So it's almost faded in that way. You mentioned Julia Roberts, so you shot a picture with her now.
Yes.
And Sam Esmail, who she
exactly.
loves working with.
Yeah, and Brian and Tyree Henry, and who's glorious, and Elizabeth Olsen. It was an amazing group, and it was a really thrilling experience. And I can't really talk much about it other than process-wise, it was kind of intriguing as well. It was, it felt new. But I mean, I've loved Julia for years, and she is just one of the great movie stars. And I was so excited to work with her. And she is just. I mean, that thing of like, don't meet your heroes, but do meet Julia Roberts. It was wonderful.
That's great. I can't wait to see that.
I'm excited to see also her film.
Panic Carefully, is that what it's called?
Exactly.
Panic Carefully. Okay. Well, lots to look forward to. And have you started season 2 yet, shooting?
We haven't yet. No.
Okay.
That's coming up.
All right. Yeah. That's always the thing about
our
streaming stuff. It's not like it's going to come on at the same time.
No. I think, and what's important for me is I'm really proud of what we made, and we want to just, come back, bigger, better, and so about really refining that work to make sure when we do, it's as strong as it can possibly be.
Well, so far, SAG, Golden Globe, Critics' Choice nominations for this, and, I mean, people are loving it, so keep it going. Keep it going, Eddie. This is Eddie Redmayne. Thank you so much for doing the Actor's Side with me.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.